What up, guys? It's Friday, May 22nd. We are going to finish up with 9.3 today, where we're going to be kind of looking at the same two-way tables. One is the exact same as yesterday, and we're actually going to find percentages now from the two-way table. All right, so that's your learning target, is I can find percentages in a two-way table. All right, so how we're going to do that, I'm not going to go into the actual example like I normally do. I'm just going to kind of highlight here because we need to look at this table right here in order to get these percentages for this table right here. All right, so again, I'm not going to go into the actual example because then we can't see this table, which we need again to get these percentages. All right, so let's just read together here. Example 4 is finding a relationship in a two-way table. And it's saying use the two-way table in example 3, which is this one up here. For each age group, what percent of the students in the survey ride the bus to school and do not ride the bus to school? Organize the results in a two-way table and explain what one of the entries represents, which is what they do over here. All right, so they get these percentages. I'm going to show you how. All right, here's what they do. It says for each age group, what percent of the students in the survey ride the bus to school? So let's start with that. So for each age group, which are our columns here, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the totals of each age group. So 12 to 13-year-olds, there were 40 surveyed. 14 to 15-year-olds, there were 25 surveyed. 16 to 17-year-olds, there were 35 surveyed. So 24 out of the 40 ride the bus to school. So to find what percentage that is, which is 60%, what they do is they take this number, the amount of students that ride the bus to school, 24, they divide it by 40, the total number of 12 to 13-year-olds that were surveyed. So in your calculator, if you take 24 and divide by 40, you should be getting 0.6. What is that as a percent? That would be 60%. Okay? So again, for this age group, right? If we wanted to find how many or what percent of students don't ride the bus, we would take this 16 and divide by 40. All right, 16 divided by 40, that should give you 0.4. What is that as a percent? That is 40%. Okay, so they simply did that for each age group. All right, so now for 14 through 15-year-olds, there's 12 that ride the bus out of 25. Okay, so again, now we're taking 12 and we're dividing by 25 because that's the total number of 14 through 15-year-olds that were surveyed. All right, and that's going to give you this 48%. It should be 0.48, which we then make into a percent. Okay, they did the same thing with 13. They divided that by 25 in order to get this 52%. Okay, and finally, 16 through 17-year-olds. There were 35 of them surveyed. All right, so out of the total, what percentage ride the bus? They take 14 and divide by 35 to get 40%, which is 0.4, and then 21 divided by 35 gives us 0.6 or 60%. All right, so let's real quick read this interpretation. So it says explain what one of the entries represents. Okay, so they're just picking one. All right, they're choosing this one here, this 40%, and they're saying here's the 14 divided by 35, like I mentioned. The 14 divided by the total 35 gives us 0.4. So it says 40% of the 16 and 17-year-old students in the survey ride the bus to school. So they're just interpreting it. All right. Now, part B says, does the table in part A show a relationship between age and whether students ride the bus to school or not? And explain. All they're saying is, yes, it does show a relationship. As the students are getting older, what's happening? Less of them are riding the bus. More of them are not riding the bus. Why does that make sense? Because they're probably driving to school, right? As they get older. So it says, yes, the table shows that as age increases, students are less likely to ride the bus to school. Again, probably because they're driving to school. Okay. But most importantly, how do we find those percents? Like I talked about. Okay. Let's look at your on your own question here, but I'm just going to actually bring up the answers right away and just explain it one more time. Okay. So this is what you guys are going to have to do in your practice today. All right, you're going to have to actually make some of these two-way tables, and then you're going to have to find percentages. All right, so we're using the skills from yesterday and then combining it with today. So this is saying you randomly survey students in a school about whether they buy a school lunch or pack a lunch. Your results are shown. First off, make a two-way table that includes the marginal frequencies. Let's remember, we kind of need those marginal frequencies in order to get these percents anyway, right? But marginal frequencies are these totals here, okay? Let's remember that. It's those totals, all right? These are joint frequencies, these ones on the inside here, all right? So here's your data. Here's your data that you took, all right? If you surveyed these students, right? You're organizing that into a table, all right? And then we're finding totals for each column and for each row, okay? Now when we go down here, it says, again, for each grade level, okay? So we're taking grade level totals and using those to find our percent. So for each grade level, what percent of the students in the survey pack a lunch? What percent buy a school lunch? Organize the results in a two-way table and explain what one of the entries represents, okay? So hopefully you're understanding where are we getting these percentages from. Here's where we're getting them. In the 6th grade, there were 20 students surveyed, okay? 11 of them pack a lunch. They are taking 11. And they are dividing it by 20, the total number of 6th graders, to get this number here, okay? And they do that for all the rest of them too, all right? To find out what percent buy, they would take 9 and divide by 20 to get 45%. All right, and they do that for all of these. They do that for all of these, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, let's real quick. Look, it says they chose the 45% of the 6th grade students in the survey buy a school lunch. So when it says explain what one of the entries represents, they chose that one, okay? They're just explaining it. Now, part C, does the table show a relationship between grade level and lunch choice? So is there a relationship between how old the students are and whether they pack or buy a lunch? Does the data really show a relationship? The answer is no. About half the students in each grade buy a school lunch. So there's really no relationship shown in this table, okay? But one more time, most importantly, how do we find these percentages, okay? So we're paying attention to what it says here. For each grade level, what percent? That means we use grade level totals to find our percentages. All right, so that's it. Hopefully that makes sense. You guys have 3 problems that you're completing today is all right, where you're gonna have to, again, use your skills from yesterday and combine them with today's skills, all right? So you're gonna first have to make some of the two-way tables yourselves, all right, based upon the data they give you. And then you're gonna have to find those percentages like we did today in the lesson, okay? But again, that's it. You guys are gonna go into big ideas and do this 9.3 practice part 2. Any questions, email me or ask in the discussion thread. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys after the weekend.